Hi, everybody. It's Erica from In the Company of Cards. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. Please do like, share, subscribe. This is a channel where I use Lenormand or Lenormand or Lenormand, because however you pronounce it is absolutely okay, to divine future events and to look at politics and race and culture. That's what I do on this channel. So if that's for you, you're welcome here. If it's not for you, there are plenty of other channels that will give you what you're looking for. So if you're here and you're happy to be here, I'm happy to have you here. So today, in my quest to stay a novid, meaning one of the few who has never had COVID, I'm about to go get my 10 millionth booster. So, and I probably won't feel too great tomorrow. So I thought I would come on today and look at a couple of issues. So they're all legally oriented, the issues that I want to look at and pretty timely. So the first one is the Supreme Court's decision, and it's been all over the news, so I'm sure you've heard about this, uh, on the Abrego Garcia case. He is the person sent from Maryland uh, to El Salvador just because they felt like doing it. And the lower courts have said, you need to bring him back because you shouldn't have rendered him there in the first place. The Supreme Court issued a decision last night, which was, in my opinion, disappointing because it seemed a little wishy-washy. In other words, the Supreme Court didn't say, yeah, what the lower court said, we're with that, and you need to bring him back post haste. Obviously, you cannot bring him back by this past Monday at midnight because we already had that date, but ASAP, bring him back. That's not what they said. What they said was that the government must facilitate and must effectuate his return. Now, why do I call that waffling? You may have seen this talked about on the news. I hope you have, but just in case you haven't, or just as a refresher, it's waffling because it gives the government a big opening because the government will say, well, we tried, we made a call, we sent somebody over there to get him, which they've done neither of those things, I might add. But what are you going to do? We can't force a foreign government to do anything. So it's out of our hands. And so instead of the Supreme Court saying you must return this man, instead they're saying you have to prove that you're doing your best to bring him back. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And this ruling was seen as a victory by the government side, even though on the face of it, you can say, well, they did say that he shouldn't have been sent, and they did say that he should be brought back, but they didn't order that he be brought back. And they asked the government to show what it's done to bring him back. And the government says, yeah, we're not going to do that. So I just want to look at Abrego Garcia one more time and see well, what will happen with him. Uh, I'm going to use the young man card, and we'll just see what will happen. Okay. People are asking, why are you only looking at him? Why not everybody else? Well, as goes Abrego Garcia, so go the rest of them. So this will stand for Abrego Garcia, and we want to know what's going to happen with him. Okay, the cards are the key, the bouquet. Here he is, the scythe, and the birds. All right. I'm going to pull cards on the scythe because I know what I think it is, but I'm just going to pull cards anyway, just to see, make sure. And on the birds. Well, the key is great. The key is the answer to things. The birds feel to me very much like the Supreme Court having talked among themselves. This is the card for talking. And we thought that that would be the answer, that the Supreme Court would say to the government, what you did is wrong. Even you admit that what you did is wrong. So bring him back. That's not what the Supreme Court said, though. What looked like it was going to be sort of a happy ending and a gift, which would be his return, kind of got waylaid, cut because of the equivocation of the court. Meaning, equivocation meaning the court talking out of both sides of its mouth. Okay, so I pulled clarifiers on this and I got clover, mountain, and book. So when I go horizontally and I look at that line of five that I just showed you, uh, this is, you know what, before I do that, let me show you that, this gift looks like it gets cut. Okay. So now again, I'm going to look at this cutting and we have clover, mountain, and book. I don't love mountain and book here. He will not be returned with all deliberate haste. That's not going to happen because of the scythe. You could argue cutting him loose from the jail. So let's say that that's what this means now that we're going vertically and looking at this card along with different cards. Cutting him loose in a timely manner, well, it's already too late for it to be a timely manner, right? Because that was supposed to have been last Monday, but this past Monday. But look, we have delay, 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 which is this government's favorite tactic and this president's favorite tactic, delay, delay, delay. And then when he is released will be an unknown. And I remember that in my last reading, I said something like that they would say, oh, we can't find him. He's been swallowed up by that jail. Uh, Cannibals ate him and there's no, evidence on their lips. They will take it as a point of privilege and a point of honor even to not find him. That's what I think. Then we have this final card, birds, and the clarifiers for that are the rider, the woman, the tower. I think that what the courts, even the Supreme Court included, will end up saying, I think the message will be, you know, our hands are tied because we've given him over to another government. And what are you going to do? Maybe that other government will be kind enough to let him go, but maybe they won't. And so, really, it's up to El Salvador whether they locate him and return him to us because we can't do it. That's what I think they're going to say. This is not good. And the worst part of it has been set in motion, I think, by this Supreme Court decision, which was, in my opinion, equivocating. It was not a punch in the gut to the government. It was like, do the best you can, but we get it if that's too hard and you can't bring him back. This is a man's life we're talking about. And multiply it by the number of other people whom they took. This is sort of this agreeing in advance, capitulating in advance is what even the court seems to be doing for Trump. All right. Now, today there is another hearing on Mahmoud Khalil. Now, if you remember, he is the one who is the Columbia grad student who was arrested. and deported, or well, they've rendered him again to somewhere else, but he's been deported, and because he was active in the protest movement in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. And so the government's response has been that this is new. This is, what's his name? Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio's stance is that we have a right to deport him because of his beliefs. Well, I mean, talk about a slippery slope. It's just a matter of time if they succeed in doing this before they do this to an American citizen because they don't like their beliefs. So there is a hearing today. The government will argue, because Rubio put a statement out, will argue that we have a right to deport him because of his beliefs, that they are inimical to the state. Okay. Beliefs are not illegal, by the way. So I would like to know, how will that judge rule? Now, the judge will, best case scenario, the judge would say, let him loose. A medium scenario would be the judge says he has a right to his day in court, so he needs to be brought back here so he can have his day in court in a deportation hearing. Best case scenario is the judge would say, wait, what? You're saying his beliefs are illegal? That's not in the Constitution. Like, where are you getting that from? So let's see what this judge will rule. I'm going to use the tower for the court. What will, or no, let's not. Let's look at Mahmoud Khalil himself. I'll use that young man card again. I've shuffled, and let's see what his fate will be after today's hearing. So this is Mahmoud Khalil that we're looking at. Looking for the young man card. His wife is about to give birth any day. And his status is that he is a prisoner. Okay, so here's Mahmoud Khalil this time. So we have the child, we have the ring, we have Mahmoud Khalil. Again, in the fourth position, we have this young woman card, this yin energy card, and then we have the garden. So I'm going to pull some clarifiers before I start talking about these. You can watch. Okay. So this time I just pulled two clarifiers for each card. Sometimes people will say to me, well, how come sometimes you pull no clarifiers? Sometimes you'll pull one clarifier, sometimes two, sometimes three. I read intuitively, so I do what I feel like doing. There's no, entity that's going to go, what are you doing? You need to be consistent each time. I do it according to what feels right to me. And that's what you should do, is you pull the cards. Okay. So, oops. Oh, okay. So I don't want to get these all mixed up. Okay. The child card, the child feels, well, it means something small, some small change. So I don't think we'll get the ultimate outcome that we would like, most of us here would like, which is that he be free, but there might be some medium range decision, like he needs to at least be brought back to the States and be allowed to have a hearing on his deportation. I don't love this ring. It just feels like here we go again, more delay, more obfuscation, more kicking the can down the road. Here he is, you know, I'm going to say this is his wife more than anything. And then the garden, people are watching this. Everybody's watching this. Okay. So for this, I have the stork and the house. And I suspect this will be the judge saying, you know, giving him giving a ruling that is making things better for him than they were. Not optimal, but better, improvement, that he be returned here. So that's that. But again, the government will delay, obfuscate, avoid all of that. How do I know? Because we have this followed by this. This is delay. And then just going all over Robin Hood's barn to come up with another reason why they can't bring him back here, why they have a right to have deported him. Here he is, and I like the cards for him here, but the answer would be for justice to prevail and for him to have his day in court. He didn't have his day in court. He just got ripped off the street and arrested. Well, ripped off out of his house and arrested. He deserves a day in court at the very least. Okay. So now I'm going vertically. So this is not standing for his wife anymore. Here, I do think it's yin energy being overpowered by the government in a way that's very clear because they want to make an example of him. And so this is just yin energy. It's in this case disempowered. We know that the people are saying, "What are you doing? This is not fair. You didn't have a stay in court, et cetera, et cetera." Clarifiers, coffin, and cross. The object of the game on the government side will be to shut people up, to make people silent and afraid. That's the goal. And I think that might very well be the outcome. I don't love this cross at the end. This is a card of pain and of endings. So, Marco will do all he can, as will Pam Bondi, to not have him brought back, to not have him have his day in court. So don't be surprised if there is this delay. We can look at this again at another point, but I don't think that the desired outcome is anytime soon. The third legal question that I would like to look at before I have to leave for my shot, which is hopefully soon, is the fact that Alina Habba has now been made the chief legal person in the state of New Jersey. Phil Murphy is the governor of the state of New Jersey. He has declared New Jersey a sanctuary state. And he made mention of the fact that he had someone who worked in his, I guess in his home, undocumented. And then later on, he said, "Oh yeah, no, that wasn't the case. It wasn't exactly like that." But of course, by saying that, which was a dumb thing to say, just saying, he put himself on Trump's radar. So Alina Habba, who was a Trump lawyer and not very good, but she's been rewarded with this position as the top legal eagle in New Jersey, has said that she is opening an investigation into Phil Murphy, governor of New Jersey. This could be really bad, and it would send a really chilling message to governors across the country. And that's what she wants. She said, this is to make an example of him. So what will happen with Phil Murphy? Now he's an older guy. We're going to use the older man for him, and we will let us. I'd like to know what will become of him as a result of Alina Habba's investigation of him. Remember, they don't want sanctuary states and sanctuary state cities. They want everybody to agree. They want law enforcement to assist, Social Security to insist in their rounding up of everybody. So let's look for Phil Murphy in the deck and see what his fate looks like as a result of this wolf ticket that Alina Habba has put out. Okay, this stands for the governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy. I'm just going to hurry and pull clarifiers now. I think he'll be okay. They'll try to get him, but I don't think they will. So we have the rider and the letter. So he's been put on notice that they're going to audit him. They're going to look and see, does he have, undocumented people working in his household in the official governor's mansion, because they'll make a big thing out of that. Here's Phil Murphy, but I think he will be able to slide out of that and live happily ever after. That's what I think, but not without some difficulty. I pulled cards on him. I like that we've got the stork and the sun. He'll be fine. He's on the side of right. And for the moment, he'll be okay, I think. Uh, and then on this crossroads card, which is choices, I have the snake, which is a problem, but then the bouquet. So I think he overcomes the problem and will be one of the big voices of opposition to this government. And then we have the heart, we have the scales, and then the child. So I think the message that they want to send will be to him and to other governors will be diluted and diminished. It's a wolf ticket. That's what we would call it when sell a wolf ticket means you make a threat that you can't follow through on. So I think he'll be fine, which is actually a surprise to see, but a happy surprise. So I think Phil Murphy will be okay. All right, I am off to get jabbed. Again, probably will be indisposed tomorrow if the past is precedent. But I will see you either Sunday. I don't have a Sunday conversation, but if I'm feeling up to it, I will come on and have my own conversation with you. If not, I will see you next week. So I wish you a good weekend, everybody. And thank you so much for all your kindnesses to me, for all your support of this channel. It means the world. I really appreciate it. Okay, take care.